ホンダアコード CVCC 洗練された大人の感覚。
I got good news and I got bad news, okay? Good news first. I bought one of my favorite cars. Bad news, it is not in particularly good condition. So I'm gonna run through the things that were already done to this car and the things that I need to do to this car and the plans that I have in the near future for this car, and I guess a little long-term future for this car. So I put a new rotor on it, got a new cap, and it didn't fit. So welcome to old. Put a new ignition coil on it. As you can see, the original one was fine, but I figured, you know, I'll just give it a little tune-up. Brand new wires, brand new plugs, of course. Put the Weber carb on it. That was easier said than done. Good gravy. So these electric fans weren't really like wired up whenever I got this car. They were not working, but it still stayed relatively cool because, you know, it's got a big radiator. It's got a radiator from some other car. You can see it's wired on there, so you might want to figure out some better mounting for that. But honestly, it's kind of good how it is. There's also this weird I guess situation with the fuel pump where the rear fuel pump is out because it's old, and they just threw another one in the engine bay and the fuel still goes through the old fuel pump and comes in here. It's got a new clutch master cylinder and a new slave cylinder, but it needs to be bled. I drove the car home with an unbled slave cylinder, which is not fun. Very not fun. So I guess we got into a bit of the work that I did, but most of this is the work of the other man. I wired these up just with caps because I don't have a soldering iron right now. I need to go get one. My last one was in my car and my car got stolen, so my Civic. Didn't do any of this headlight wiring. There was just a weird, really small gauge wire going here into this fuse here, so I upped the ante on that and did the battery terminals. I don't really even understand these. I have the seats in here, but all of the seats are trash pretty much. I might have a lead on some seats. Hey, look, it's me. I might have a lead on some seats for the front, but not the rear right now. I'm curious if the second generation Accord seats will fit. And as you can see, we got some crazy 1200 watt amp and 2 subwoofers back. None of it's wired up because they use some absolutely ridiculous wire. Center console, this is all taken apart because I gotta pull this dash out. I'm gonna replace it. You can see it's really badly cracked. The new one is very expensive. Ridiculously so, but also gonna have to sand this down and paint it, so I went ahead and took it out. But yeah, they use this wire, which is like solid core wire, not even gauge. That not good for the amp, definitely not good for in terms of shorts, or that's just a short waiting to happen as far as I'm concerned. So moving back, I have these panels and stuff. I just took it out to see what the bulbs look like, and I also need a tail light. I ordered some emblems offline. I have a few of them. But now we get into the big negative, of course, the elephant in the room here, the paint. I'm gonna be painting it. Wish me luck. I'm kind of jumping between, I know a guy that could paint it for me, but I'm jumping between that and just saying, let's rattle can it, you know? So whatever happens, happens. I think it'll look good either way. It's not too hard to get a good rattle can result. Oh, the windshield. There are so many things that I need to go over because there's so much trash going on in this car. But the windshield is obviously completely destroyed. Luckily in Tennessee they don't care about windshields. If this was Illinois, we would not be on the road. We would be in jail. But I have a place down in Chattanooga. I live in Cleveland, and I have a place in Chattanooga that can get the windshield for me, but they can't get the seals that go along the outside. So it's just more of that, finding parts. Last but not least, alternator. It's new, and I got it tested because this thing actually has a problem, which I'll get into here in a second. But I got this tested good, and you know, I probably need a new belt. It's kind of dry rotting, and good grief, got to get that cam belt changed too, which is not fun. And this is supposed to fit this car, but goes into the back to the alternator. That was on there when I bought the car, just so everyone's aware. Pigtail was complete garbage, completely falling apart. So I have the caps on there just like the electric fan. It's not a permanent solution. It's very temporary, but you know, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so it does run and it does drive. Has all 5 speeds, luckily. Has a nice 1.8 liter CVCC motor, compound vortex controlled combustion. I plan on doing a video kind of explaining that technology and easy ways to check and see if that technology is utilized. It's really only utilized in the 1.6 and the 1.8. Luckily, this is also an 81, which means it has the 8-port cylinder head. So it's like the perfect, the incarnation of the CVCC motor. So yeah, I mean, it's tuned up, it's ready to go, but we have the issue of the battery not charging. So, of course, the alternator's been tested. The battery's obviously good. I put a new battery in it. I don't know if that was obvious or not. New terminals, the whole shebang. You jump start it, it'll run fine. And I have been jump starting it periodically just to keep the fuel running through the system, because that's the big thing with these carbureted Hondas, is you don't want to let them sit, because the fuel pumps go bad, the carburetors go bad. You let them sit for a while, or you leave the carburetor out of tune for too long, you know, that's your big mistake. Don't do that, and it'll run forever if you don't do that, you know. So anywho, I mean, of course you'll have your fair share of problems with the carb, I'm sure, but just keep on those 2 things, keep the car running, and it'll be good. So this luckily has the Denso ignition system, and right here there used to be, and man, I tell you what, with all of these random electronic boxes with PCMs coming out of them, it was very difficult to figure out which one was the voltage regulator, but eventually narrowed it down to there by staring at a wiring diagram. It was terrible. It was not fun. It took me like 3 hours, and it was right there. Huge thing. But anywho, pretty sure it's the voltage regulator. Battery light is on. Alternator tested positive. Other than that, it could be a really strong short, but I've gone through the wiring. I've taped off all of the random positive leads that were just littered all over the car. So I have my doubts about that. So hopefully I'm correct, and whenever that thing shows up, it'll be a good day, which won't be that long. So thank you for watching. This is the introduction to my Hottohatchi, my hot hatch. Hopefully you enjoyed. Ooh, I love the curves on this car. if you enjoy and you want to see more of this lovely face, hello, then you know, do what you do, you know, check the channel. I'm out of here.